Hey, rock stars, if your fab shop's overwhelmed or your supplier's missing deadlines, that's not just frustrating, it's costing you real money. That's why you call HyperFab. Based in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and trusted across North America, they deliver custom metal fabrication for industries where precision and speed matter most. Construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and agriculture. From fiber laser cutting and CNC bending to welding, assembly, and finishing, they do it all in-house with fast turnarounds, tight tolerances, and no handoffs. One prototype, full production, no problem. HyperFab shows up when others can't and delivers when others don't. Head to www.hyperfab.com or call Colin Harms at 1-403-308-3308. Fabrication without compromise. That's the HyperFab edge. Welcome to episode 260 of the Business Development Podcast. And today you're going to meet an entrepreneur who embodies resilience, discipline, and purpose. Shawn Neels is the founder of Plains Equipment Rentals, and his journey is anything but ordinary. From battling a personal trauma to building a company on grit and vision, Shawn's story is raw, real, and packed with lessons every entrepreneur needs to hear. Stick with us. You won't want to miss this episode.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Podcast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 260, milestone 260. And today I have an absolute rock star interview for you. He's a friend of the show. Today we're chatting with Shawn Neels. Shawn is a dynamic entrepreneur and the driving force behind Plains Equipment Rentals. Since founding the company in 2018, Shawn has built it into a trusted name in the construction and industrial sectors, providing top-tier equipment and exceptional service. As a leader, Shawn's vision has always centered on delivering dependability, transparency, and family values to every client interaction. His relentless pursuit of excellence is matched only by his genuine care for the success of those around him. Whether it's managing the day-to-day operations or cultivating meaningful relationships, Shawn's hands-on approach has positioned him as a true leader in his industry. But Shawn's ambition doesn't stop at personal success. He's deeply committed to uplifting the entrepreneurial community around him, actively working to become the best entrepreneur and partner he can be. Shawn believes in the power of shared growth. His passion for helping fellow business leaders navigate their own paths to success is evident in every interaction. Shawn isn't just building a company. He's fostering a thriving community of driven individuals, ensuring that his journey of growth and impact extends far beyond his own business. When Shawn Neels rises, so does everyone else around him. Shawn, it's an honor to finally have you on the show.
Wow, thank you, Kelly. It looks like I got some work to do to live up to that also. You know, right after this podcast, I'll get hustling.
Dude, you have been incredible. And let me just start this show by thanking you personally. Shawn, you know, I met you through Colin Harms. Me and you both have a mutual friend in Colin Harms and Jory Evans. And dude, you've been absolutely incredible since the first interaction that we've had together. You've been uplifting. You always say I uplift you and I help you, but dude, you have been equally uplifting, motivating, and uplifting to me. You have not just supported me personally, you've supported the entire business development podcast community by sponsoring this show. And you sponsored us for as long as you could in the moment. And dude, I appreciate that immensely. We wouldn't be where we are without people like you. And before I even start this show, I just want to say it's an honor to have you. And I am extremely, extremely grateful for what you have brought to my community, to the business development podcast community.
Thank you, Kelly. That means a lot, you saying that. And it's been a crazy last year. The people we surround ourselves with is so important. The energy they bring to us, good, positive people working forward to a good common goal. It's amazing. Just a simple interaction or a phone call could uplift a person in such a way. It's huge.
It is. It's so huge. It's so huge how one interaction can completely change your day. And dude, I just want to say, me and you have had so many just phone call interactions and conversations along the way. And I can tell you that every time that, I've got a call from you in the morning, or heck, it was on my way home from work, it always brightened my day. It was always an interaction that increased my mood, that increased my energy, and that motivated me. And so I just want to thank you for your personal support in my journey.
Oh man, I appreciate you. That's awesome. And likewise, there's times I called you just a little bit down. We are both very high energy people. I believe we work out, we eat the best we can to, have a great physiology and energy around us. But sometimes we get a little bit depleted, and just stepping out of, we're both pretty solo entrepreneurs. I know you have employees, I got employees, but we do a lot of work in the silence, in the dark ourselves. And after a while, sometimes, that just erodes at us, whether contract after contract gets lost, or, things aren't going quite the way you were. There's a contract that you worked up for months on months in advance, and you just get a little bit down. Quick phone call, talking to somebody else that's maybe having a better day than you, or they just see that you're in a rough spot and they can help you up, man. That's what it's all about.
Dude, I've been totally blessed in this journey. I really have. And you know what? Every time that I hit that point where I'm like, oh my gosh, I lose a sponsor, or I lose a client, or I'm looking for another, coaching client or something like that, I can definitely get super down on myself. But then it's something incredible happens. And right now, honestly, I'm probably almost a little bit too busy, but it's I'm not going to complain about that. I need that support. It's I'm getting exactly what I've been asking the universe for. So I just have to suck it up a little bit and be grateful and be thankful and do the best that Kelly Kennedy can, man. But I get it. You and me are completely the same, right? We both operate essentially small businesses that do quite a bit of revenue, which is amazing. But they're small businesses. It's me and you really just dealing with our clients, dealing with our coaching clients, moving our businesses forward, getting that equipment out to site. And it is a lot to ask of one person sometimes. So I totally, totally understand where you're coming from. But dude, you're killing it. You are doing incredible. And, one of the things that me and you also share in common, we're both introverted people. And it's for the most part, I would rather be working on my own. I would rather just have to rely on Kelly to get things done. I would rather not put myself in super uncomfortable situations, which I know is super ironic because I have this podcast. But there was a time where this podcast would not have happened. It took a lot of personal growth for me to get to a stage where I could have these conversations with, you're not a stranger, but a lot of people I do talk to before I meet them are strangers, right? So, I still struggle with it, dude. I still struggle with my introvertedness. You put me in a room full of 1,000 people and I'm pretty uncomfortable. It's not my natural go-to place. I'm really good at turning it on. A lot of practice in business development has made me great at just being able to be all right, go time, Kelly. Put on the mask, put on the smile, let's get her done. But it definitely took many years of practice. And, I'm still not perfect at it. I still have days where I'm you know what? I don't think I really want to be in this room.
No, I hear you 100%. It's like a muscle, right? The more you exercise it, the more you're going to have the ability to get out of that introvertness and really turn it on. And all we can really control in the end is our inputs. What are we doing? We can't control the output necessarily, but if that failure and that, lack of confidence or contract gets us down, how we should respond to that is just keep staying on the path, putting that stuff out there, and ultimately, hopefully, or, ultimately, I think we will get to that outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to just kind of bring up here is, when we met, I actually got to come down to Lethbridge. Colin Harms set up this like amazing meeting with yourself and Jory Evans and some people from, the city itself. And it was an amazing experience. I really, really enjoyed coming to Lethbridge and meeting all of you. And I just wanted to kind of say, like, I know at that time you had mentioned like, oh, like it's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes sitting at a table like that with such incredible people, right? Like, a lot of the times I feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. And, when I'm sitting next to Jory Evans and when I'm sitting next to Colin Harms and even you, like, I know you don't feel it in that moment, but you have done an incredible job over the last 7.5 years of building Plains equipment rentals, right? Like, sometimes we almost need to be able to step back and see like, oh, I deserve to be here too. I deserve to be at this table too. But I can definitely feel that in that moment. And, I just wanted to say, like, it's been a ride and you all deserve to be there. And I feel that way too. When I'm sitting at a table surrounded by amazing people, when I'm interviewing, incredible entrepreneurs, people that have achieved immense wealth, immense status, I can still feel like, oh, well, it's just me. It's just Kelly Kennedy, right? Who am I? Who am I to be here? But it's like, we earned our spots at that table,
Yeah.
And it's easy to forget that. It's easy to forget that you belong there. And I'm not just speaking to Shawn Neels today because he is an incredible entrepreneur. I'm speaking to everybody else who's listening to this right now, who sat at that table, who's been at that table and said, my gosh, like, what am I doing here? Do I even belong here? Yes, you belong there, or you wouldn't be sitting at that table.
Yeah. And it's important to recognize that you belong there. Even if you don't, without you leveling up and, pushing yourself to those uncomfortable things, those bigger things are never going to happen. I mean, opportunity waits for no one. So when that opportunity comes, whether you're ready or not, whether you feel you're deserving or not, don't let your limiting beliefs hold you back, because you might never get that opportunity again.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the incredible things that I admire about you, Shawn, is that I know you struggle with the same challenges that I do. There's not a lot of people that I can like meet and be like, oh yeah, that guy struggles with being a bit of an introvert. He doesn't like that social situation. He's got to push his boundaries, right? But dude, you are incredible. You not that long ago, you were at an event with Ty Lopez. Like, you are getting out in the world. You are pushing your own personal boundaries, and you are leveling up every day, dude. Every day you're out there leveling up. You're doing better on the socials. You just did a bit of a rebrand for Plains Equipment Rentals, which has been pretty awesome. And I've been keeping up with it. I've been keeping up with what you're doing. And I just want to say, you're doing a really great job of leveling up. Talk to me about that process, man. What has that been like for you? What is it like to be in a room with such incredible individuals? And heck, to be able to like put yourself obviously uncomfortable and be able to, thrive in that situation.
Yeah, sir. Well, you make it sound like it's huge, but in the grand scheme of things, I think we're all on our own path, just doing the best we can. Like I said before, those opportunities, you really have to seize those, because we only receive several of them in our life, and maybe we receive more, but when we're starting out, those first couple opportunities, you have no idea what those ones will bring you to, whether it's a discount on a course or you name it, you really have to seize those things. And that's kind of what I kept in the back of my mind as I've been building the company, pouring into my employee, stuff like that. Just, when there is an opportunity to teach, opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow, lean into it. And it might take a couple of years to pay off, but who cares? The worst thing that could happen is you learn something from it. And when I did the rebrand, that was sort of part of that thing, very uncomfortable. We did a ton of printing brochures. We had all our stickers up for 2 years, the whole works, right? Ton of value and cost there. But it made sense to do the rebrand. We were changing our trajectory on who we were going to attract as a customer. We used to be the affordable way. That didn't seem to make sense. Ever since COVID, nothing's affordable anymore. So what are we trying to do? We're not Walmart,
It's all relative.
Yeah, not even that though. Just something, we strive for quality. we really do strive for quality. Quality doesn't come at a cheap cost. So
No.
we change the motto to pushing you further. Now, everything that we do in the company is to push the client further, to push our employees further, and to push ourselves further. And what that looks like is providing high quality equipment, choosing the brands carefully, choosing the equipment we buy carefully, even if it's not new, making sure it's very well maintained. And along the process, we kind of think of how can we serve this customer better? How can we push this customer further? And that's it was so important. Joel McGalvin helped me with this. He's the value proposition guy, and really picking that value proposition or what you want your company to stand for. It's so important, and it's gotta align with the founder, with you. It's gotta be authentic. It's gotta be a way you operate even after work. Maybe you're in your personal life, in your relationships. What are you striving for? What's your ultimate goal there? And that should align. When you do find that thing, it's it's very clear to you what you should do for your customer and for the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Jory Evans a couple times now, and Jory is like the biggest advocate I've ever met for building a company around your values. and he's doing pretty damn all right. So I think he might know a thing or two.
Nice. I figured.
What was it like working with Joel? Because you know what, I've actually had the chance to interview Joel a couple times. We're friends, just like me and you are friends. I've met Joel a few times at some Edmonton events, and he's an incredible individual too. North and West is a really cool company, and I'm going to give him a little plug on here because if you're just hearing this show for the first time, Joel's show's probably well over 100 episodes ago if I haven't had him back yet. But he's got a company called North and West, and all they do is value proposition. They come in, they work with you to establish your value proposition, to understand it, and to help you understand it. Because most of us start companies and we don't even really understand the full value of it. Do you want to just give him a quick moment and explain what that process was like for you?
Yeah, 100%. Joel's the man, no doubt. And explaining more about what he does, like what is your value proposition? To break that down, I would say if you take some of the iconics in the industry, like Subway, their value proposition is somewhere along the lines of always fresh. So everything they do, they try to make a fresh sandwich because no one wants that stale gas station bullshit, right?
Right.
They're trying to keep it fresh. And veggies, meats, it's very important. So they built their value proposition around that. And I think it's important for every business at some stage to, if they don't have a clear understanding of what it is, that separates them from the competition besides price. Because if it's price, it's a race to the bottom, unless you have something that's very rare or you're Sam Walton, maybe that started Walmart. Yeah, it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a tough go because there's always going to be a cheaper person. There really is. And maybe they're doing business at a loss. You don't know. So why should you compare your rates to theirs and try to beat it? It just doesn't make sense. Yeah. So find that thing and work with guys like Joel McGalvin. He's really good at, he dives deep into your customers. He'll talk to whichever customers you want. He'll try to figure out what they liked about you, what they didn't, and how you could provide more value to them. And from there, you could build it out. I think we've worked for probably 3 months with him. Took a while. You toss ideas between each other, but because he's been through the process, he's worked with big guys like Microsoft. He's got great expertise, and he's the man.
He does. He actually established a podcast for Microsoft, which I thought was really, really cool when I first met him.
It's huge, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. He's a very unique person. I really, really love Joel. I do. There's certain people that I just connect with immediately, and Joel was one of those people, and I have no problem plugging him wherever possible and recommending him wherever possible because I think he is incredible. I think the work he's doing is really unique and really valuable. And I do think he's going to move mountains eventually.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. It's such a need, and there's no one else that does it. You've mentioned that before.
Dude, and at this point, too, it's like I've gone through, hundreds of episodes, and I haven't met anyone else like him yet, which I think stands it's a pretty big, shining spotlight. I hope he listens to this episode. He's like, Kelly, shush, stop it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Anyways, Joel McGalnick, if you need value proposition challenges, he's incredible.
North and West, he's the man.
That's right. So Shawn, let's bring it back to you because that's who this is really about today. How did you end up on this entrepreneurial journey? First off, me and you are relatively the same age, if I remember correctly. I'm 35. I'll be 36 by the time this comes out. How old are you right now?
Oh, we're a little different, Kelly. I'm 26, actually.
My God. My God. You're the man, dude. You're the man. I wish I had the drive that you had when I was like 26. I was baby business development Kelly at this point.
Man, it's so true. Like, I look at 23-year-olds that are they've got $14 million business. And I was like, man, I wish I had the drive when I was 17. Why didn't I start early? And there's always going to be someone that you could compare yourself to that started earlier, or was more
Yeah,
passionate quicker. And yeah, I'm not that old. I'm not that young either. If you compare myself to some of the
sure.
17-year-old business owners.
Yeah,
But really, as I get a little bit older in the last couple of years, I recognize that age actually doesn't make a huge difference.
no,
It's, what are you doing on a daily basis? What are your values? And what kind of person are you? You could be friends with a 60-year-old. Why not? If you're
yeah,
20, you can
yeah.
learn a lot. Maybe they could reflect on their past and give you pointers. I think age is age is a funny thing. It doesn't matter so much in this space.
No, and like you said, it really does matter. Like, who was in your circle? Like, what did you see, right? Like, for me, my dad was an entrepreneur, but not really. Like, he was and he wasn't. He had his own company, but he just worked for the same company for like 40 years. So it's like, it wasn't really a whole lot different from an employee. So that was the closest thing to like an entrepreneur that I grew up with and understood. And to me, it just looked like employee. And both my parents were like, hey, like, just, go to school, get a good job and enjoy your life, right? Like, that was kind of their view. They just wanted me to be happy, whatever I did, which was amazing. Parents, by the way, parents out there, just encourage your kid to be happy. But at the same time, if you can't see it, right? Like, our kids are going to grow up with a very different experience. They're going to grow up seeing their dad, podcasting and doing business development and coaching and building his own brand and his own company. And like, I hope that models great behavior for them to emulate when they're older, right? Because I think you can only emulate what you see and understand. And so, one of the questions I had for you was, did you have people that you saw that were entrepreneurs that you got to kind of emulate?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I just knew I always wanted to level up. And when I ran into a wall, I previously did concrete, and I was obsessed with getting to the next level, getting my company truck, maybe an office someday. And when there wasn't that opportunity in the company, whether their vision was too small, which I think many smaller construction outfits have a downside there, where their vision's too small, their employees' vision doesn't fit within the company. And
Yeah.
you run into a wall and you're like, man, I'm stuck. I don't want my life to be like this for the next 20 years. I want to keep leveling up. And I
Yeah.
think that's where a lot of us turn to entrepreneurship, because there is no limit. There's no cap on that. It's
Yeah.
unlimited potential. And as a father, you mentioned too, your kids are seeing what you're doing. And I think that's really important. Not to say that there isn't a need for jobs. Like, there's amazing companies, there's amazing jobs out there. But what they see from you is you pouring into your unlimited potential. And they could do the same in any area. You're
Yeah.
always leveling up, you're always growing. And sometimes that's very hard to do within a job. I mean,
Yes.
I have guys too, and I think going back to the age thing, I think that's where the age barrier actually comes from. When you're in an organization and someone's been there 30 years, he's a 50-year-old, and the
Yeah.
other guy's an 18-year-old, then there's a huge gap. But when you're in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and you're just seeking out your own true potential, it seems like that gap disappears. You're just like all in it together.
Yeah, it does. And the further I go down this like business development path, and at this point, I've interviewed well over 100 entrepreneurs. And yeah, like, you're absolutely right. It's like that drive is in each and every one of them. That want to help, that want to succeed, that want to give back. That is something that is very unique to all entrepreneurs, not just one or two. Like, it really is a community that wants to build the community. Right. And so, like you said, I feel like somebody who's been an entrepreneur for 50 years will still sit down with someone who's an entrepreneur for 1 year and say, hey, man, like, how you doing? How's life? It's kind of challenging, isn't it? Do you want some tips on that?
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. It's incredible. And I know, I want to go back to the employee aspect of this, because you know what? You're absolutely right. There is entrepreneurship, as much as I pump it on this show and I try to encourage as many people to do it, it, is not for everyone. It really isn't. There's some people that that would be like, this sucks. Like having to rely on myself 100% to find my business, to perform my business, or to pay for marketing, or to pay for an employee. It's like, that is too much. And that is okay. If that's you, totally, totally okay. I understand that. Honestly, I don't think that I even understood when I got into entrepreneurship how much stress, how much I was actually putting on my shoulders. I think at the time I felt like, oh yeah, like how hard could this be? We can figure this out. I was naive to it because I just hadn't had really any experience in it, right? And, I took the challenges one by one as they came and they came and they came, and you just handle them and you move on. And I'm grateful and thankful that I got to go down this path because I'm not sure that I would have found myself without it, ironically, right? Like, I'm not sure I would have found that this is my purpose, that this is what I was meant to do. But if you're on the other side and you're like, I'm good with just being an executive. I'm good with being able to go home at night and shut off. And that, you know what? I'll be honest, Shawn, that's the thing I miss the most. The thing I miss the most from being an employee was being able to shut off at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, go home and just be Kelly. Because there is a certain level when you become an entrepreneur where the clock doesn't stop, right? There's always something more you could do or feel you should do, or family obligations that are frankly smashing a little bit with the work obligations, especially when you're a solopreneur and you're doing the best you can. Yeah, man, there's something to be said about being able to completely shut down. And I think when you do become an entrepreneur, you have to, I don't want to say you have to get to a point where you can, but on a certain level, you got to get to a point where you can. Right? Like, there's no other way to really say it, because the obligations aren't going to stop. Your commitments to your clients, your commitments to your family, your commitments to growing your business, your commitments to yourself, they all collide. They all collide. And you're just balancing, you're putting out fires here, putting out fires here, putting out fires here. And somehow the castle builds. But at the same time, there are times you're like, holy cow, like how can one person do this? I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, without a doubt. But what I have come to realize, and what I've really worked on, and I've learned this from others, was you have to shut it off. Because if you don't shut it off, it's going to lead to you being stressed out. You're going to respond in a way you probably shouldn't, whether it's to your family, your spouse, your wife, or, another employee. And that's not fair to anybody either. So you need to know what you could take, how many hours you could put in a day, maybe go a little farther. So you're always leveling up, you're always stretching, but know when to shut it off too. And then when you do shut it off, be intentional with that time. Go work out. Get a good workout. Don't be on your phone. Don't be dealing with emails still, because it's shared energy and you're not getting the most out of it you can. And you're not going to be as recharged. You're not going to have as good workout to go into those things. So what I've really learned was, being intentional with shutting it off. And then when you shut it off, what do you do with that time? If your goal is to learn more, learn a different skill, put your phone away and grab that book and read the amount of pages that you said you're going to read. Follow through, get it done, and move on to the next thing. Or spend a certain amount with your time, with your family and your kids. Allot that amount of time, and it should be pretty much non-negotiable except for emergencies.
Yeah.
Doing that has made me really recharge for the next day and be able to take it on head on. And something I'm still getting better on, but that's the goalpost out there that I'm shooting for.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And I just want to say to all the entrepreneurs listening, I have sucked horribly at this part. So I am not the king of time balance. I talk about it and I talk about the importance of it, and I ask all of my guests, how do you find it? Because for me, I have struggled a lot. And I think I've struggled a lot, Shawn, because I tend to bite off too much. Like I bite off too much. I want to perform on this show. I want to be able to show up twice a week, nonstop, dude. At this point, have not missed a single episode.
That's
not missed one, right? But that kind of commitment takes time, takes energy, and frankly, it just takes, right? Like, it just is what it is. Plus, on top of that, I do business development and I do business development coaching. And I manage social medias for all my stuff. So it's a lot. Like, and I recognize it and I accept that I made that choice and I live with it, right? But the reality is that like the balance thing has been hard for me. The non-negotiable has been, making sure that I get my like walk in with Shelby at the end of the night, that I spend a little bit of time with my kids, that I'm trying to still be a great parent, a great partner, and do my best with the show and with my coaching and with my other, business obligations, right? But it is really challenging. And I do want to acknowledge that, because I think some people feel like, my God, this is really, really hard. Am I alone in this? Is it just me? And I just want to say to all my entrepreneurs listening right now, it is not just you. It is not just you. We are all struggling with the work-life balance. I've talked to so many people about it. My view on it at this point is total bullshit. There's no such thing as full-time work-life balance. There's times when you have to give more to work. There's times when you have to give more to your family. And there's times when you have to give more to yourself.
Yep.
Right? There's no balance. There's certain times for certain things, and do the best you can, because that's what everyone else is really doing.
That's right. No, 100%. And you're a very busy guy. Well, I got to give that to you. I would say I'm probably a little less busy. And, there's a few things on that. I think you're 100% right where you say, sometimes you're going to have to be all in on family because family crisis, or there's a sickness you got to deal with. That's the only right thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to balance back to, the things that are serving you. If you're doing better off of exercise and you're able to serve your community, deal with your clients better when you're recharged your exercise, I think whether it's 1 or 2 days after, you should try to get that in. And what I've realized doing the 75 hard program, actually with Andy Frisell, I've done that one multiple times, is you actually have more time in the day than you realize. And it all comes down to priorities. We can make ourselves so incredibly busy, and we're like, there's no way I have time to work out. There's no way I have time to go to that family ball, or, take my daughter out to whatever event. But the fact is, you do. You just have to restructure, reorganize, and point out what matters the most.
One of the questions that I have for you, Shawn, is, obviously for me, what I found, and I'm not always great with it. I would say I've become a bit of a morning person. Like, I've gotten better and better and better at it, but I definitely was not a morning person before I became an entrepreneur. But what I kind of found was, like, at least a few days a week, I do try to get up at about 5:30 and just kind of hit the ground running, try to get caught up on some things that I need to catch up on. Because, dude, like, a lot of times, especially like Tuesdays before show release, or on Fridays when I'm doing multiple interviews plus producing the Sunday show, I can end up working pretty late into the evening. It just is what it is on those days. It sucks, but that's just what's happened. So what I kind of find is that, for me, one of the things that makes me feel good, I struggle with it in the morning to get up and actually do it, but I do feel good about it when I can kind of hit the ground running and rob some time before the kids wake up or before Shelby wakes up. Are you a morning person? Do you get up? Are you a crack of dawn, get started kind of guy?
Yes, I am, Callie. I am a morning person, 100%. Maybe it's the silence, being introvert, that there's no one else around and I could just do my thing. Not that I don't love my wife. I absolutely love my wife. It's just, it's dark out. It's beautiful. It's cool. It's not hot. You could just do your thing. And when I say that, I'm more relating to exercise, because I'm a big fundamental believer of exercise. So I try to get some form of workout in the morning before I touch any sort of work. And that's like the first win of the day for me. I could hit the ground running after I get that workout in. So yeah, by all means, there's been different periods in my life, where I woke up at 4:30 consistently, except for the weekends, and then switch over to 5:30. It kind of depends on what's demanding from me at that time. But I think it's very valuable to get up early, and not that you're not going to succeed if you don't, but there's some untapped potential there in the mornings. I think anybody can't argue that.
Yeah,
there isn't.
It is. It's magical. There is something to be said. There's, like, you're right. There's a quiet that you don't get any other time of the day. It does not matter what it is. There's a certain quiet you get at 5 a.m. that you really can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, undistracted time. You don't have all the clutter in your mind. It's like a baby brain. I like to use that analogy because babies, they don't have all these old thoughts and these worries, these stresses, and all that other stuff. They wake up and they just, okay, I'm going to learn how to walk. And oh, there's that. And they're like, there's none of this, background haze within their minds. And that's how I think of mornings, is like, it's new day. Hopefully you slept well. And, let's start. Try without your phone or any technology in the morning. And it's new. It's like a baby brain. I love it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't done that yet. I'll have to give it a try. I'll have to lose the phone and see what that's like for that moment. Because for me, it feels like, okay, I'm up at 5:30. No one else is up yet. okay, I can get some work done that I need to get done, that if I get it done now, maybe I have more time in the evening.
Yeah.
Like that's the thoughts that go through my head at that time. But it's funny because I have talked to a lot of people who are like, hey, like just like take that time for yourself, right? Like just enjoy that time. Exactly what you're saying. Actually, I've had multiple people tell me like, don't bring up your phone. You know, if you want, maybe do your little workout. Like have a little bit of you time, but like make it beneficial to you. For me, man, I don't know. I struggle. I struggle with like, to me, it can feel like, well, if I have this time, why waste it? But it's like, it's just my mindset. It's like, it's not a waste, obviously, but like, that's where my mind goes, right?
Oh, trust me, those mornings are not, like I say, I love the mornings, but most mornings consist of a grueling workout where I show back up at the house, bruises on my shoulders from my weighted vest, dripping sweat, all that other shit. But you feel great because you won the first little win. It's the first little win of the day. I feel like it opens your creativity. That's the biggest thing I've noticed is no technology in the morning. It somehow, when I open my phone first thing in the morning and I'm looking at an email, it somehow scatters my energy in a certain way. And my creativity can't work to the fullest. It can't. Whereas when I leave my phone away and I only look at my phone for a timer or a workout, just the way my thoughts construct into different creative areas that help propel the day forward. Whether even if I'm thinking about projects as I'm doing my workout, I don't know. Phones are evil, man. I mean, that's our livelihood, right? But they do something to a person, and they steal the good old fashioned creativities and whatnot.
Yeah, it is. It's wild how much smartphones have like just embedded their claws into us, isn't it? Right? Like even for me, right? Like I love podcasts. Obviously, I'm a podcaster, but I actually, long before I was a podcaster, I loved listening to podcasts. So just like you, I know you are also a podcast lover. I find that even in my spare time, if I'm out walking the kids or if I'm out on a bike ride, like, dude, I got a pair of earbuds in and I'm listening to a show. But like, let's get real. I'm listening to my phone, right? Like my phone has like a grip on me probably 80% at least of the day in one way or another, even if it's just I'm consuming audio content.
Yeah. And that's different for everybody. Some people could take in more information than others. Some people could listen to 3 hours of podcasts and actually absorb and get something out of it. Whereas other people could only listen to 20 minutes. And they're like, that's it. If I listen beyond that 20 minutes, it's not going to absorb it. It's not going to serve me. So you got to know what works for you. And I think how my mind works is I'm a little bit more like that 20 minutes where I could only take in so much information where it just goes in one ear and out the other. So that's what I'm aware of. And that's also one of the reasons why I limit the phone time, in the mornings and try to do it at nights, is because it doesn't absorb in an intentional way like I want it to.
What I always recommend to people is because you can really have self-help overload. I've gone down the self-help overload pathway. And what has always worked for me is to stagger it out. So like, for instance, if you love the business development podcast, which hopefully you do because you're listening to it, you should alternate this show with something that is just enjoyable for you. And I hope the show's enjoyable for you. But at the same time, you should have just an entertainment show. Like for me, I love a show called Scared to Death, or I love, Jim Harold's Campfire, or just something fun to listen to that's like, oh, that's fun, or that's entertaining, right? It has no self-help purpose in my life. It is just for entertainment. And my recommendation is to stagger it. Have your self-help, but stagger it with a good book that's entertaining or another podcast that's entertaining, so that you get the most you can from the self-help thing instead of feeling like, okay, like I'm getting overloaded and none of this is coming through. And I know I talked to a lot of people on this show, Shawn, who were like, I love listening to your show, but Kelly, it's like drinking from a fire hose, but I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. No, I hear you though. It's you could go down a rabbit hole where you're absorbing or you're taking in too much and you can't absorb it. And I feel it actually leads to inaction because there's all these great ideas, great strategies, things you could all do. But when you get 1,500 of them in 3 days, you're probably going to do none because you're overwhelmed.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So like my advice is always just to stagger it. Find your entertainment, find something that you can just passively listen to that it's not really going to matter if you miss something or not, like an entertainment show or a comedy show or a Scared to Death, a great show. And just find something that's an entertainment for you and mix it. So have your self-help, follow it by something that's entertaining. And that way, I don't know, there's some type of balance to it. Back in the day that I used to do audiobooks all the time, I was a huge audiobook consumer, Shawn. I still am, but honestly, I find the older I get, the more I like actually physically reading, which I don't know, maybe that's an old man thing. I'm 35. I'm not that old. I'm 36, I guess, at this point. I'll be 36 when the show airs. But yeah, I find that the older I get, the more I actually prefer physically reading. But when I was younger, when I was 23, 24, 25, I just crushed audiobooks like on Audible, like it was the end of the world. But I would stagger them. So I would listen to something like The Like Switch, and then I would follow it by like a Stephen King book. And I would alternate them. And I found for me, it created a really nice balance where by the time I got back to self-help, I was really ready to listen. I was really ready to learn the lesson.
Yeah, that's huge. And a lot of us, we think we have to start a podcast and listen to every single episode going through. Maybe if there is, like your show, there's 200 and some episodes, maybe you shouldn't listen to every single one because it's going to kind of desensitize the real good content. Maybe you should pick out what is valuable, what aligns to you, because there's a ton of topics on your show, right? And
totally.
To ask for your listeners to listen to everyone, that'd be cool. But I don't think it's going to serve your listeners. I think maybe they should just look through those titles. But I think your titles are pretty well laid out that they could understand which one's going to help them in that moment and, dive into it deep. Hopefully they can pull something from it.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting, Shawn, about, the BDP is that I find as I go, it really evolves, right? Like the topics that get requested are nuanced and they change as time goes. So you really can listen to things in the... So I get what you're saying. I totally do. And I say, go for it. If you want to cherry pick all you want.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's value in the first, 50 episodes of the BDP that is absolutely monumental if you are new to business development.
Yeah.
And I would say that like as we go on, there's a lot of value that still is to business development, but really starts to talk about entrepreneurship and mindset and positive thinking and the power of, of taking notes every day. There's like, it's really interesting how like the show continues to like change a little bit. It's very nuanced, but as we get into, 200s and into eventually 300s, like the show almost is like it has seasons to it. Mm-hmm. It almost feels like seasons, but there was no way that this show was always going to stay the same. Yeah. And I don't think any show can or does.
No.
And so there is, for instance, there's things in the first, 50 episodes, which might be incredibly beneficial. And then there's things in the next 100 episodes that are beneficial in a different way. And the things in the next 100 episodes that might be beneficial in a different way. It's all an evolution, just like business is an evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. You hit the nail on the head using your analogy there. Love it. But right from the start, that 1 to 50, I think if you are really trying to learn business development, I think that's crucial. That's what I did. And I learned very, very well from that. And they went in steps, 1 to 50. Every one was a different thing. And if you listen to 1 to 50, you got a pretty good grasp on things, I would say.
I agree.
That's the core of the business development podcast, right? What it's become now is something even bigger, but that was the core, those first 50, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, I think I'll find that in every 100 episodes, I will try to circle back and try to, hit those topics again, right? Because there are the people that show back up and, they're like, 260 episodes. Like, I don't want to listen to all those to learn the lesson. I'm just going to start at 250 or 210 or wherever they show up, right? Yeah. So I think on a certain level, I'm going to consistently have to bring those things back in. And I want to, because I love talking about them. Mm-hmm. But I think I am going to have to essentially take those first 50 episodes and repeat them as long as this show exists, because there are going to be the people who need a refresher or maybe my take. And I'll be honest, like I find the longer I go down this path, I learn new things and my take might even change from what I thought at episode 10 to what I thought at episode 300. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing how much when you are challenged to reflect on your views and the way you do things and your values on things, how, a few years can make a huge difference in the way that you think about it. And while it hasn't changed a lot, there are certain things like AI that really didn't exist at episode 1. Like it was ChatGPT was just released. We didn't really understand how to even use it yet. Now it's monumental. We use it for all sorts of show production and all sorts of stuff. Or heck, I didn't even understand show production, Shawn, when I started the show, right? So you'll see the show gets better and better and better and better. And that is just an evolution of Kelly Kennedy learning audio production. Yep. So it's amazing, dude. Like podcasting has been such a journey, man. It's been incredible.
No doubt. And I can see from your perspective too, it's very tough to know where to go. On the one side, you have all these new listeners coming in that, like you said, you want to do a recap. But on the other side, you have maybe a ton of loyal old listeners that you don't want to, keep repeating the same thing, or else they might get, they might get a little annoyed with you. So
Well,
keeping it fresh and new.
yeah, you
But
got to balance
also
it.
reflecting back to on the good lessons and maybe the new improvements that you can implement.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I would say every year I'm learning something new, right? Like 2023, it was the year of AI. 2024 was the year of personal branding. 2025, which the show is coming out, I don't know what it is yet because we're not there yet, but we're going to find out. And it's really interesting how every year thus far in the show, and I know it hasn't been too many, we're only 2.5 in, but every year to this point has had something very defining, some very defining difference or things that people wanted to talk about. And I find that like at this point, I'm really excited to see what is 2025's defining thing, right? If 2023 was AI, if 2024 was personal branding, what the heck is 2025? And I'm excited to figure it out.
Yeah, man. Maybe you're going to be like a fitness guy. You're going to be get your six-pack or you can't be on the business development show. Like Andy Elliott. Like,
oh boy, I would be a hypocrite on that one. Not all of us are Shawn Neels, dude. Speaking of though, let's talk about it. We've talked fitness quite a bit. So I think we know Shawn Neels is a little passionate about his fitness. Your entrepreneurship journey started in fitness, didn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It's always been a component of mine. I think it maybe started a little bit with ego, if I'm being honest. I worked with another construction guy where he's like, well, I bench pressed, 320 when I was 20 years old. I went,
yeah,
well, game on. And that's how I thought, right? And from there on, it just kind of became a lifestyle. It pushed me through things when, I've had some really dark points in my life where it brought light to it, and it pushed me through. Next to God, who I owe it to for getting me through those tough times. My responsibility in that was, what could I do to improve my like I went through a very dark patch in my life where I got into an accident and someone was killed tragically and whatnot. I had to witness that. And from there on, it went actually into counseling, a ton of counseling, emotional therapy type stuff for trauma treatment, whatnot. And from there, I recognize that that's a very important thing for many of these trauma treatments is therapy and working with psychologists to get your mind straight and rewired in a good way. But a lot of times that leads to becoming a victim. Woe is me, this happened to me, wasn't my fault, this and that. And there's no ownership in that. And that really doesn't serve you. So where I felt it was good to go from that was to take extreme ownership and go into a program like 75 Hard. Which is a 75-day program where you do these tasks on a consistent basis. So the first thing, I'll just run through it for those of you that don't know what it's about. The first thing is a 45-minute workout every day for 75 days. So it consists of one 45-minute workout. It's got to be outside regardless of the weather. The second thing is a second workout, 45 minutes. It's got to be 3 hours apart. So that makes it super inconvenient.
Wow.
And then the third thing is a progress picture. So there's going to be progress over that 75 days. And seeing that on day 20 or day 40 or 50, it's going to be inspiring to see the change. It's huge. I got my employee doing it right now, and he's just blown away. He's lost like 20 pounds in 35
Wow.
days. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So getting back to it. So we got the progress picture. Next thing is drinking a gallon of water a day. It's incredible what that does to you. Not to mention your workouts do require you to drink a lot of water. So it's important.
Sure.
And no alcohol or cheat meals. That's another one of the things. So just putting clean food into your body every day on a consistent basis changes the way you think, the way you operate. If you're working from a dark place or you're in a dark place in your life, or you're just looking to improve your life, that's huge. Third thing, follow a strict diet. It could be any diet you want, and pick it and go. So I did that when I was, feeling like a victim, maybe feeling a little bit entitled, like, why does this happen to me? I was through all the therapy, did that, and I had to get back on my feet. I had to take ownership, take responsibilities for the things that happened in my life that were ultimately my fault. And this program catapulted me forward, catapulted my business forward, consistently doing those things on a day-to-day basis. It's huge. And ever since, I've done that program probably 5 times, along with portions of the Live Hard program, which is just more tasks, involve cold shower and all kinds of fine stuff. Intentionally putting yourself in really hard situations. And the growth's been phenomenal to the point where it's a non-negotiable for me to get some physical form of activity, some physical workout in every single day, with the exception of Sundays, which I'll just do a walk. I believe it's good to have one day of rest.
Yes. So did God.
Yeah. No doubt.
Goodness. Yeah. My gosh, man. I had no idea. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, these things happen in life, and it sucks. We have to do the best we can and take ownership of that situation. I truly believe that. And so often we fall a victim, right? And going into the victimhood, that could last years, man. I've met people 20, 30 years. They're still on that one incident that happened to them in life, and they can't get over the fact that happened. And they go nowhere. They're stuck. That's it. Yeah. Until you take that ownership, think of it as like, what can I do? God gave me a healthy body, a healthy mind. What can I go do with those things? I can't control the outcome of me magically jumping out of depression or, this trauma state, but I can intentionally put good things in my body. I can make sure I'm getting exercise done. And that's been proven to help depression like nothing else. No antidepressant could help you like that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of men who struggle with the therapy side, right? I'm tough. I don't need to go to therapy. Talk to me about that. Because you're tough. You worked in construction, What was the moment where you're like, you know what? I think I need help. And first off, congratulations on taking that step for yourself, because there's a lot of men who wouldn't do it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I wouldn't consider myself tough. Work in progress for sure. But yeah, it's a generational problem, especially in this past generation where we don't talk about our feelings, this just deal with it and move on. And a lot of those people that say those same things, a lot of statistics are coming out that they're not the best husband they could be. They're not the best employer they could be. Many of the repercussions from just dealing with it, just not talking about it, are anger outbursts, not understanding someone else's point of view, which is a form of narcissism, and emotional instability, stuff like that, right? So is that really serving the people around you? You gotta take a step back, stop being so selfish for yourself too sometimes, and say, hey, I'm not the best husband I could be. I'm not the best boss I could be. Why is that? And how do we fix that? And that was one of the things for me. I was going into relationships. It was not good. How I was my outputs to the people around me. And mine was an extreme case. I mean, I've seen some terrible, terrible things. I mean, it was very visual. I did CPR on a corpse pretty much that died moments later, and that was at my hand. So the guilt was incredible.
Yeah. Wow.
It was unimaginable. So I pretty much had no choice but to go get help, because I knew I couldn't do this on my own.
Do you still struggle from like PTSD from that?
No.
Wow.
Thankfully, that's been gone. And I think it's moved. This is the third year coming up in November. It's been 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. My gosh, dude. I had no idea that happened. Like, it's incredible that I guess I thought I knew you. And it's incredible. And I think that's the thing. I think that's really the big secret here, is that like me and Shawn, we haven't known each other long, but I've known you for at least 6 months, if not a year at this point. I think we met in February. Yeah. So man, like, it's incredible because you think that people, right? We all make that judgment. Oh yeah, I know him. He's a great person, and you are a great person, by the way. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just suggesting that like we all come to our assumptions with people, and we're like, yeah, we know him, but the reality is we know nobody.
No, nobody.
We know nobody. No. We know nobody. We know what they project, and we know what we want to know or what we think about them, right? Yes. But the reality is we all are individuals. We all carry our struggle with us. I have my struggle. You have yours. And we don't show that struggle to the world, right? No. That struggle is ours, and we carry it inside. But understand that we're all carrying a struggle. I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. We're all carrying something.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, it's your responsibility how you deal with that struggle. It could be not so bad, or it could be really bad, but are you doing the things that you can to improve that?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Man, this has been incredible, Shawn. I knew it was going to be, but it's been incredible. Lead us into Plains Equipment Rentals, man. Talk to me. What is Plains Equipment Rentals? How did you found it? What has that experience been like? And, what are the services that you provide?
Yeah, for sure. So that's a interesting story, I guess. It involves a lot of naiveness, not knowing what I was doing, but just going for it. It all started in construction. As I relayed earlier, I was doing concrete. Loved concrete for what it was. To most people, it sounds like you're just rubbing rocks into a shiny surface, but there's more to it than that. Trust me. So yeah, and it was not having the ability to level up. It was promised me, a truck when I got to that level, and that stuff never really came around. It was just to keep me around. I moved around in different companies and whatnot, trying different things. Very, very quickly kind of moved through the ranks of what I thought was possible. And I was always a little bit frustrated that there wasn't more for me to learn. There wasn't a clear path forward for me to make more money, to take on more responsibility and handle more jobs. There just wasn't that. And that's kind of when I got a little bit bored. And when you get bored, you look for things to do, right? Yeah. So my dad's a mechanic. He always has been a mechanic. So I have that mechanical background, and I love equipment. I think I was 19 years old. Yeah, 18 or 19. Started looking at Kijiji, looking at wheel loaders, and specifically, I was like, man, these things are cool. And then there was a few ads that said for rent. I'm like, oh shit, let's check it out. And yeah, $9,000 per month. Holy shit! Why don't I just buy one and rent it out? Let's go. Yeah. It's got to be easy, right? Even if you only rent it for half the year, still a ton of money. What could go wrong? So my dumb ass bought a wheel loader. Thought it was a great idea. It was way out in Edmonton. I'm in Lethbridge, so I did the whole process. I think I bought it right, which was good. Soon after, got a project. It was a 3-month building a horse ring. It went pretty well. Had a couple of issues with the mechanics that had to get a mechanic out to fix the stuff. And from there on, I was advertising different ads, and people didn't seem to take me seriously, which was pretty understandable. I mean, what equipment rental company has no name and one piece of equipment? It's time to make some changes. Yeah. So I got the business name going, Plains Equipment Rentals. Did the little thing online where you register your business name, you get a GST number, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Did that, stepping up, and got a few more contracts. Went through the process where that drives everybody away from equipment rentals, where someone rents out your piece of equipment, absolutely trashes it and destroys it, doesn't pay it, comes back bruised and broken. So I did that, kept going because I was invested. I purchased this piece of machinery and I was bored at work. So let's keep going. This was always a side hustle for me for the first couple of years. Yeah. And the next step was to buy another piece of equipment, because if you want to represent yourself as the equipment rental company, you can't just have one piece of equipment. So I bought another machine. Winter rentals was pretty good for me. I purchased snow pushers for these machines, and they would sit at like Costco's and Walmart's through snow contractors, and they rent them throughout the season. So that was always a part of my business. And then from there on, we went into air compressors, stuff like that. Eventually it came to the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I can't get anything out of construction or concrete anymore. I was subcontracting myself out to other contractors, trying to teach talent and get some vision going in the companies, but they quite frankly weren't having it. So we left on good terms. It was all good. It was a great way to make money and to get me started and to help fund the bills for this equipment rental company that was going to be a multi-million-dollar thing. But turns out there's a lot of unknown expenses with equipment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2.5 years ago now, I decided to go all in. I was like, if I'm going to keep treating it like a side hustle, it's always going to be a side hustle. Yes. So, I had to go all in, even though the revenue numbers weren't where I wanted them to be. I wasn't getting as many leads as I could in as I wanted. It was time. Made that jump. Took kind of a leap forward into incorporating the business and building out the website. Had marketing guys help me with Google Ads, different types of marketing on social media, working with guys like Kelly, right? To get the brand showcased on the sponsorship. Great way to reach a lot of eyes. That's a big part of starting your business, to just get eyes on your brand.
You need visual. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Brand awareness.
Brand awareness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And from there on, we grew it more. Wheel loaders has always been a large part of the business, just because they're so well rounded. There's so many uses for them. You could use them in landscaping jobs, energy jobs, snow removal, you name it. So we got several different sizes of those, specialized in a few other things. Excavators was another one, compaction rollers, air compressors, as I mentioned before, which have many different uses. And from there on, we dialed in our value proposition earlier this spring, tried to understand who we were trying to serve and how we could serve them the best way, got that dialed in. And also earlier that year, we became an authorized Arctic snow and ice products dealer, which was pretty
cool. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
100%. I love them. I'm very passionate about them.
For those listening, probably the coolest snowblades on planet Earth.
Yeah,
like very neat. They're articulating, right? Like they operate independently. Like they have the ability to move certain pieces of the blade.
Yeah, 100%. So its biggest shining component is you can effectively remove hard packed snow and ice by simply just tilting the attachment forward. You can rip up that hard packed snow and ice. Stuff that everybody slips on at the Costco's and Walmarts, it builds up.
Every year. Every year I end up on my ass.
Yeah, 100%.
Canadian problems.
It is. It really is. Yeah. So that's their, amongst many other shining components, that is their main one is, really having the ability to scrape that stuff gone, which leads into better productivity, higher efficiencies. You don't have to salt so much if you're a contractor, and just overall well done job on that part. So that's always been exciting, the Arctic snow and ice products, and it aligned with what we were doing with the equipment rentals. We had our attachments for the winter, which worked very well. And from there on, just taking it day by day, creating systems within the business, raising up our employee in the way that we think is the right way. And the guy's name is Declan. Phenomenal kid. He's only 17 years of age. And
wow.
Yeah, he's 17 years of age. He's not the only employee that we've had. We've had multiple others, but he wanted to learn and he wanted to grow. And that really resonated with me because there's not too many kids that wanted to do that. One time I casually mentioned that I did 75 hard 5 times. Not that that's a globe of honor or anything, but he's like, I'm starting Monday. Like, sweet. And ever since, it's insane. Like he's close to day 40 right now. He's dropped 20 pounds. His attention to details through the roof, his consistency, his showing up, his over delivering, all components of that 75 hard program. And he's in it. It seems like he's in it for the long haul. His vision fits within the company, which is something that Jory Evans talks about a lot. Yeah. And there's room for him to grow. And it's been awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Shawn, one of the questions I can already hear people listening is, hey, we need equipment. What is your service area? You're obviously based in Lethbridge, but do you serve all of Western Canada?
100%. Yeah, we do serve all of Western Canada. And how we're able to do that is with strategic partners that take care of our maintenance and operations when that equipment is out and further away from us. So we have certified mechanics looking after our equipment if there is any breakdowns or whatnot. And then the logistics, we're all set up in that area too. Obviously, it's not going to work to go halfway across the globe for a one-day rental.
Yes.
But, for that longer term contracts, we are able to be quite competitive because of our lower overhead and we could serve a lot of different industries.
Well, and I would also say for like U.S. companies, a lot of U.S. companies do construction work in Canada, right? And it's a hell of a job just to move all the equipment, that far. So it does make sense to have strategic partners like Plains Equipment to be able to help you when you're doing work in Canada. So I see more of that in your future for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, no, it's exciting. And, just being able to provide quality equipment, reliable stuff. Over the past couple of years, we've really dialed in on our attention to detail. If there's something that looks like it might be going out, we just replace it because that's part of our value proposition is to have high quality, reliable equipment. So that's why we could offer, and that's been exciting. A lot of people really appreciate that we're taking that extra step to making sure that there's no issues on site and providing the equipment that they need, listening to what it is important for them, whether it's brands or specific attachments that they need, and delivering on that.
Totally, totally. And like me and you both know, a down piece of equipment has repercussions, right? It's not just that piece of equipment that's down, it's all the work that could have been done after that equipment was supposed to complete its job. So it doesn't just slow down, that one job, it slows down the whole job. So You're absolutely right. Quality equipment, critical, and Plains has got it.
Yeah, 100%. And how people ask, they a lot of times ask and say, well, how are you doing that as a small company? If something goes wrong, how are you going to be able to replace it? Say if it's an engine job or transmission. And the answer is we work with a lot of other companies that have the same equipment, whether they're rental agencies or other contractors. And we're fully set up that if we send a piece of equipment out and something happens that we can't deal with in a timely fashion, we're going to just replace that piece of equipment so you can keep on going with your project, because ultimately that is important. So that's how we do that.
Amazing. And Shawn, where can people find Plains Equipment Rentals in you? If people want to explore your products, explore your services, explore some Arctic cat blades, how do they do it?
Yeah. Also, it's all on our website, www.plainsequipmentrentals.com. We spent a lot of time to try and make that as easy as possible to use. And it's all on there, whether you need heavy equipment, lighter equipment, or Arctic snow and ice products. It's all up there.
Amazing. And if people want to follow you, because you post a lot on LinkedIn, you're active there, where do they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn's a great spot. You could reach me at Shawn Neels. Reach out anytime, anything you need. I'm just in it. I've done nothing in the grand scheme of things, but if I could help you, I will definitely try to help you. And another one's Facebook or Instagram, also Shawn Neels. Find me there and let's talk.
Amazing, Shawn. It's been an honor. And I just wanted, before we wrap this show up, from the bottom of my heart, dude, thank you so much for supporting, me, the Business Development Podcast, and, the Business Development Podcast community. It's because of people like you that we continue to operate. And so thank you for putting your money where your mouth was and actually financially supporting this show. I just want to say I appreciate you, and I really appreciate our friendship and everything you've done for both me and the listeners and the show.
Hey, you're welcome, Kelly, and thanks for having me on there. It's a huge honor to be on this massive platform of a show. It's no small thing, really. So I sincerely thank you for that opportunity, and it was great to be a sponsor for you too. It's not something that anybody could just do. Well, anybody can do, but I was given the opportunity at a time, and there's only a certain amount of slots that you have. So that was great.
That early support, dude, can't tell you how much it means to me. Because it really is, growing a show like this, it's expensive and it's hard and it's a labor of love. So anybody who, makes the choice to share in that labor of love, to share the load per se, is greatly, greatly appreciated. And especially when a show is young, when a show is getting, its legs. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You've helped me more than I can, ever say either. So that's what it's all about, right? Paying it forward, bearing each other's burdens, and doing the best we can.
Well, I hope this show sends a ton of people to Plains Equipment Rentals. You're an incredible individual. You're honest, you have integrity, and you really believe in quality work. And I think that absolutely, absolutely matters. Until next time, this has been episode 260 of the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Rock stars, this is your moment. You've been listening, learning, grinding, and now it's time to go from taking notes to taking action. The Business Development Mastery Accelerator Rockstars class kicks off Tuesday, September 9th, and it was built for listeners just like you. In 6 weeks, I'll coach you through the exact system that I've used for nearly 2 decades, refined through 160 plus expert interviews, and proven inside my $7,500 one-to-one program. You'll walk away with a complete business development engine built to scale and built around you. You'll get 6 live coaching sessions with me, exclusive access to Catalyst GPT, proven templates, outreach scripts, and a CRM that actually works. A private group inside the Catalyst Club, and your own custom certificate that shows you showed up and leveled up. Only 10 seats are available and they will go fast. So if you're ready to turn this podcast into your playbook, go to kellykennedy.official.com and lock in your seat today. That's kellykennedy.official.com, and let's build your revenue engine together. I'll catch you on the flip side.